And it's really a big moment for us that you took out time from your itinerary and made it a point to be there at this campus.
Explore this very interesting topic, catering to a digital generation. I'm an anecdotal guy, which means I'm going to try to have some fun with you along the way. I was trying to find some way in which life can be explained. So I ran across this story or this illustration, which I think you might find fascinating. It says, on the first day, God created the dog and said, sit all day by the door of your house and bark at anyone who comes in or walks past it. I will give you a lifespan of 20 years. The dog said, that's too long to be barking. Give me 10 years and I'll give you back the other 10. So God agreed. On the second day, God created the monkey. He said, entertain people, do monkey tricks, make them laugh. I'll give you 20 years. The monkey said, that's too long to be entertaining people. Why don't you give me 10? And like the dog, I'll give you 10 back. God agreed. On the third day, he created the donkey. He said, you must go to the field with the farmer all day long, suffer under the sun, toil for others' benefit, produce for a family. For this, I'll give you 60 years. The donkey said, that's a tough life. Why don't you give me 20 and I'll let you have the other 40? So on the fourth day, he created man. He said, eat, sleep, play, marry, and enjoy your life. For this, I'll give you 20. Selfish man said, only 20? I'll tell you what. I'll take my 20, the 40 the donkey gave back, the 10 the monkey gave back, and the 10 the dog gave back. And God agreed. So that's why, my friends, for the first 20 years we eat, sleep, play, and enjoy ourselves. The next 40 years we slave in the sun like a donkey to support our family. The next 10 years we do monkey tricks to entertain the grandchildren. And the last 10 years we sit on the front porch and bark at everyone. Years ago I read a book and it said something that caught my attention. It said the future is now. In a digital world, there are three very foundational components that define us. One is the modular nature of the world, which means you and I have been designed and developed to create pockets of excellence, and other pockets of excellence will simultaneously be created, and you have to make your pocket fit the other pocket, and modular excellence will ally with modular excellence, and you may have a commodity. Now, if you look at Dell Computer, when Michael Dell decided that he wanted to take on the modular approach, this was some 25, 30 years ago, in an Austin apartment, he said, I think I can have the chips made in Sunnyvale, California. I can have the circuit boards made in Taiwan. I can have the engineers come from India or operate just about anywhere else in the world. I can offer my solution online and let a person go through and pick their components and design a computer, have it shipped from Austin, Texas. All Austin, Texas produced at that time was the cardboard boxes in which they put the computer. And somehow he managed to do it for less and became a billionaire. That's what we call by a modular world. So when you look at your world, even though the Dell computers and the modular aspect of Dell is now old, you guys have evolved, the modular concept of success has not changed. So if you want to be effective in this world, you have to create your perfect window and see through it the other places in this world it can ally with. There was a time, and most of you still probably are there, that when you're going through those teenage years or coming into your early 20s, the awkwardness of life begins to surround you. You're part of the digital divide. You want to be connected. You want to be human. You want to have a connection with somebody else. And so you write your innermost thoughts in a diary. And the diary basically is a reflection of who you are, your hurts, your halos, your scars and your stars. And you're really annoyed if somebody reads it. Especially your little sister who grabs it and runs through the living room making fun of you. Or if mom accidentally were to discover it, you would yell at her saying, "That is my privacy you're invading. How dare you?" And that's one side of your life. On the other side, you want to post all your innermost thoughts, your innermost feelings on Facebook, and you're really annoyed if people don't like it. See, hypocrisy is the price vice pays to virtue. Hypocrisy. Technically, no matter what your age group is, my generation, your generation, we're all hypocrites. We're all hypocrites because we have a demand for what is right in our mind, and we have a desire for what is not right, and we try to counterbalance the two through a process called justification. And the digital world allows you to do that with almost complete anonymity. If you look at the next thing, the virtual world we live in. Everything has an app. I remember about 7, 8 years ago, I was talking to my son. I've been a speaker now for 25 years. I've spoken in 60 countries, 6 continents. I told my son, I said, how do I reach your generation? He said, "Dad, ours is an app generation. If you do not impact me in 3 clicks or less, I find another app." And ultimately, that's how you're learning. See, when you look at the virtual world you are living in, folks, understand this. No matter how virtually you can hide, there is a right and a wrong, a yes and a no, a black and a white, a good and a bad. Relativism is a crock. I was in Istanbul, Turkey, and there were a bunch of people protesting death to America. And these were all young people. All of them were wearing Levi's and Nikes. Hypocrisy. What are you fighting against? Are you going to end up being a rebel without a cause? The third component is this boundarylessness. It sounds seductive, it sounds open-ended, but G.K. Chesterton said, "Be careful of the fence you drop if you never asked yourself why it was up there in the first place." Your campus has the very word knowledge embedded in it. Let me give you the most liberating thought you may have never heard. Knowledge is learned, wisdom is lived. We have more knowledge right now than at any other time in human history. Not enough wisdom. What is wisdom? It's the correct use of knowledge. Devices are becoming so customer focused that organizations have figured out a way to tap into your ability to buy things from them when you are at your most passive. And as a result, I'm seeing a lot of people mount up a huge amount of debt buying things they don't need. This is also a purely Western phenomenon. We buy things we don't need to impress people we don't like with money we don't have and become someone we can't recognize. It is your generation that created Uber, the largest taxi service in the world that does not own a car. It is your generation that created Airbnb, the largest real estate hotel holding in the world that does not own a single property. It is your generation that created Facebook, the largest content aggregator in the world that doesn't own any content. See, what I'm trying to get across to you is high tech will never replace high touch if you want to enjoy life. And if it does, you're an automaton, you're robotic. And robotic relationships, robotic friendships, robotic identities, at the end of the day, you can be treated like an app. And if someone discards you like one, you can't cry digital tears, those are real. So never ever leave the fundamental foundational attribute of human existence. 7 billion people on planet Earth right now, more than in all of human history combined, and yet there's not another just like you. See, money is not everything, but it ranks reasonably close to oxygen. You know, I've had money, I haven't had it. Overall, it's better to have it. Money bought me a house, actually it bought me 2. It'll never buy me a home with laughter. It bought me a bed. It'll never buy me a good night's sleep. It bought me a companion. Won't buy me a friend for life. Bought me a good time. Won't buy me peace of mind. I like the things money will buy. But I love the things money can't buy. See, you can get everything in this world that money will buy without a lick of character. But you cannot get any of the things money will buy without that character. Character is then pride in the mundane. Mundane is what you do every day. Don't just learn to earn. Learn to teach. Emerson said, if you're going to pull me up, you better be on higher ground. Coach Joby Harris said, otherwise the day will come when by the sheer weight of our numbers, we will drag you down. Mediocrity and misery do love company. He said, first dentistry was painless, then bicycles were chainless, then carriages were horseless, and many laws enforceless. Soon cookery was fireless, telegraphy was wireless, coffee was caffeineless, and cigars nicotineless. Then oranges were seedless, the putting green was weedless, the college boy was hatless, the proper diet fatless. Now our motorways are dustless, our new steel is rustless, our tennis courts are sodless, and our new religion's godless. Man has become his own god. Since we talked about vice, let's talk about virtue. One of the things is the word be the change that you want to see. Eric Hoffer said, in times of change, it is the learners who will inherit the earth, while the learned will find themselves beautifully equipped for a world that no longer exists. William James, the founder of modern psychology, said, if you want to make a change, do it immediately and do it flamboyantly. And we can all do that to each other. Learn as if you will live forever. Teach as if you will die tomorrow. Give it away. That's a virtue. So growing up, my mom would say, you're never going to pass anything anyway. So why don't you write Om on your paper? If you don't study, even God can't help you. God doesn't know the answers, and if he did, he wouldn't give it to a duffer like you who didn't pay any attention. So this kid wrote all kinds of stuff on his paper that had nothing to do. He just, just filling 18 pages thinking, professor, at least, he'll give me a grade because I filled 20 pages. Well, the professor was an old Chinese guy. So when the page came back, it had a semicircle on the top left-hand corner, a small arch on the top right-hand corner, an arch on the bottom. So the four corners of the page had a red arch. And he gave it back to the student. And the student said, Professor, you did not grade my paper. The professor said, those marks, your grade. And the student said, what's my grade? Is 0 so big not fit on the paper? And I joke because that's my background. But see, that same father was sitting in a lecture of mine 8 years ago, in Hyderabad. He had resented the fact that I never went into medicine. He held some grudges, which are all right. That's what parents are entitled to do. And if your parents hold grudges against you, that's okay. They're parents. They want you to prosper. They want you to blossom. If they put a little undue pressure on you, it's not because they don't like you or they don't understand you. They're trying to vicariously live through you the hardships that they had to endure just to have you. There was this guy who goes and takes an English class. And he comes back and says, man, English is just a vague language. The guy says, it's not vague, it's vague. He said, there you go. The moment you learn a word, you throw in a tongue twister. He said, it's not tongue it's tongue. Anything with a UE is silent. He said, okay, let's not argue about it. So,
how do you, bring courage and conviction into a risky situation? And sometimes, how do you challenge yourself to your underlying beliefs and paradigms and assumptions? And what is the biggest challenge for us to, to get success in your life?
Success is not who you are in relation to the person sitting next to you. That's comparison. Success is who you are in relation to where you began and what you began with. As a result, your definition of success has always got to be a journey, not a destination. If you think of it as a destination, you're looking at a finite amount that you're going to get, a finite position, and that's comparative existence. And that may be based on available knowledge, what somebody else has done. So first thing, change the definition of success to being a journey and not a destination. that it's not you in comparison to someone else, it's based on where you began. How do you challenge your underlying beliefs? Watch me carefully. If you try something you've never tried before and you fall flat on your face, you break even. Most of us think of failure as a person, and that's why we don't do new things, we don't take risk. Throughout the history of humanity, failure has been an event, it has never been a person. You can fail at something, you cannot fail as someone. Failure is not fatal, it's not futile, it's not final. So when you understand that, you stop taking gambles and you begin taking risks. Because your question had basically an underlying message to me. When you talk about risk taking, if it includes fear, that's a gamble. But if it includes evidence saying, I've put all the pros and cons, I'm going to give it a shot, I know the downside, then it's a risk. It's a calculated risk. Pablo Casals was a cello player. He had achieved fame and fortune, lived in Spain, moved to the United States, musical instrument. When he was in his 90s, someone asked him, why do you still practice? He'd already a maestro. He's already one of the most famous cello players of all time. When they said, why do you keep practicing? He said, I think I'm making progress. That's conviction. Conviction is believing that your finest music is still within you. Until they put the lid on the grave, you are still worthy of something to humanity.
Sir, actually, when we complete our studenthood and we enter our job life, by that time some dreams are fulfilled, but some dreams still remain. When we enter our job life, then it's kind of a scheduled, programmed, a roboted, and a day-to-day schedule that we have to follow.
Sure.
And then it's mundane. Then is there any scope that in this we also try to fulfill the dreams which still remain unaccomplished? Because as per Swami Vivekananda, one should focus on the job which you are doing right now. So when you already have a scheduled kind of a programmed thing which you have to attend every day, still some dreams which still remain unfulfilled, then I believe they become ephemeral, they are lost. So can it be done?
A person without a dream is dead. You can quote Swami Vivekananda. I'll quote the former president of India who died while giving a speech. And he says the dream is not something you keep, that you do while you sleep. It is something that prevents you from sleeping. We are a content-rich world, which is very intent-poor. And that's why most speakers who succeed focus on intent, not content. That doesn't mean you don't have content. You can always add content, but as a public speaker, we are first trained to perfect intent. Let the butterflies fly in formation, then you can add the stuff. All right? He says, we as a culture have filled our heads, but not our hearts. We have stuffed our wallets, but starved our wonder. We have increased our thirst for facts and not for mystery and meaning. In short, we create nice people. We don't make heroes anymore.